again, thank you guys for being here and joining me. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different from the lives that I have posted in the past. And first off, for those who are joining me today that don't know me, I'm Joyce Stafford, and I am a certified master life coach in transformation. I use a lot, I've had to overcome a lot of stuff in my own life, so I use those experiences to help other people to overcome things in their own lives and to be able to live the best life that they have available to live and that they're meant to live. Anyways, that being said, I'm also a born what you call empath. And so there's a lot of people who don't really know what an empath is. And so just before I get too into everything, I just want to tell you a little bit about what an empath is, and then I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of an idea and paint a little bit of a picture for you on what a day looks like in our eyes and from our view of things, and how things affect us related to all of the chaos that's going on in the world. So first off, empathic people are, and highly sensitive people too, are people that are, we don't just see things that are going on, we feel things and emotions, and we're really, really good at reading verbal cues that most and different cues that come from the subconscious level that a lot of people aren't, and the majority don't really know or recognize themselves when somebody's doing that. And so it gives us a lot more of an understanding and view of how other people are feeling, what they're going through, things like that. So with that being said, like I said, I want to come on here and share a little bit of what it's like in living as an empath, especially right now with so much chaos. So and you also have to keep in mind too that while I know a lot about my gifts and my abilities, there's a lot of people out there that may be empathic or highly sensitive, and they don't even really know what they are. And then we have some that are just barely starting to know who and what they are and how that fits into the world and their place and purposes for existing are. So I think what I'm going to talk about will affect, depending on where they are in their abilities for helping to be able to control the feelings that they feel from external forces, and also their own forces, because what ends up happening a lot of times with empathic people, especially when they're first learning about exactly what it is they are and those gifts and abilities, and don't really have strong foundations for helping to be able to control them and block them, they often will have a hard time being able to separate the feelings that they feel internally and the perspectives and things that they have, and they will end up not being able to separate those from the things they're feeling from and off of other people. So as a consequence, they're absorbing a lot of things that they're feeling from other people and outside forces and energies, and taking them on as their own, because empaths are kind of like a sponge. So we absorb energy. And we do so on a much larger scale than what other people do, because in reality, everyone absorbs other energies, and that's how we end up with being able to have things like empathy in the first place. So anyway, so right now for us, those of us that are more in tune with the empathic abilities and we have more control over them, we can see things that we have. It's a little less overwhelming for us, but when you're constantly seeing and feeling all of the pain, because you got to understand that we're feeling it. We're not just seeing the things that are happening on the news or the things that our friends are posting on social media networks. We're feeling the actual fears, the anxieties, and frustrations and hurt and anger that is pouring out right now, and the unknown that's coming out in everyone right now. And so for us, we're seeing, we don't really, we try to tune out media and things like that. So a lot of us, the majority of us that know about our gifts and stuff, we don't really have anything to do with anything political, anything media related at all. And so because of how strongly it affects us on an emotional level. So for empaths, we have these really intensely guided beliefs, and any type of wrong that is happening, no matter what kind of wrong it is, it in fact impacts us really deeply, because to us, you can't have wrong. You can't, you can't fix wrong by creating more wrong. And so when we're feeling all of this stuff, all we're trying to do is sit there and we just want it to end. Like, we just want the chaos, and we're like, enough's enough. We can see both sides. We can see the broken in both sides of the story. We can see the inconsistencies that are being put out there, and the lies that are keeping people bound and chained from being able to have their greatness and achieve their greatness. And we're just running around feeling and absorbing all these energies. And even for some of the best of us that have blocks in place and are able to determine between our own thoughts and our own emotions and feelings and separate them from those of others' thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our blocks are just like incredibly weak right now, because it takes so much energy to be able to block out other people's energies when you're living like that all day, every day. And then now we've got multiple things going on that have spurred so much more hate and confusion and anger and violence. And it's like, to us, it's ripping us apart physically, because we can see and envision what the world would be like if we didn't have all this negativity that was being absorbed and fed into everyone that exists. And we can see how much better the world would be if maybe the media stopped always talking about negative things and fueling divides between people. And if we would just decompose and decompress from that media, how much more peaceful things would be able to be. Because really there's a lot of external forces that are up there at the higher levels in society right now that are controlling, and they have all the wealth, and they've got the system rigged in such a way that it's designed to try to keep us trapped in those negative views, and it's designed to keep us fighting against each other instead of being able to unite. And when you really think about it, that is also something that's as old as the dawn of time. They've used us to fight against each other, and so they can keep control since civilization began. Really, they've hoarded the wealth and the necessities that we need to be able to survive and thrive in life, and kept them for themselves. Because if they can do that and then also then use fear tactics to separate us and have us living in fear, then it helps to keep us fighting against each other. And when we're fighting against each other, then we're easier to conquer, we're easier to control. And so for us empaths, we can see these kinds of things and we know that there's a better way, and all we want to see is peace. We want to see the world just be able to come together and drop the divides, drop the hate, the anger against each other. And because until we do that, we're not going to be able to actually solve any of the problems that exist in the world. If we're fighting with each other over and race shaming each other and blaming each other, or we're allowing politics to divide us or religious beliefs to divide us, then we're just going to continue to keep widening that gap that keeps us divided, and it's going to make it harder and harder for us to be able to heal and come back together and fix the things that are wrong. And for people like me, we just want to see the wrong gone. You know, it doesn't matter. Yes, police brutality exists and it's a problem and it needs to stop. It doesn't matter who they're killing. It's not okay, period. So it doesn't matter if it's a black person or a white person. If they commit the kinds of acts that they did to this gentleman a few weeks back, then it's just wrong, period. It doesn't matter what religion, what race you are, any of that kind of stuff. And we can't heal those divides if we don't first, one, start looking at ourselves and healing the stuff that's broken inside of ourselves and keeping us trapped under these different guises of fear that we all internally have for each other. So one of the ways for us to start being able to heal these divides that are happening and to start healing and fixing what's broken is to first start working inside of ourselves and looking at ourselves and the things that we have wrong, you know, the biases that we have, the angers and the frustrations and the hurts that we hold on to and cling to, and the fears that we've been conditioned to believe in ourselves about who we are and what we deserve and things like that, and start really being able to embrace our power. But also when we do that, it's going to start helping to heal the divides. And so right now, like I said, for us empaths, that's all we want. We just want to heal the divides. We're not trying to make other people feel like they're being devalued or that their feelings don't matter. We're trying to literally try to show that there's better ways of handling the situations that are going on, so that we can work to come together to actually solve the problems that are happening. And we're not going to be able to do that if we're not working on ourselves, because change happens first we can't fix the world until we first fix ourselves and the problems that we have in ourselves and our own negative viewpoints and standards. And folks, I hate to tell you guys this, but literally one of the first steps and ways to being able to do that and to break out of the fears that we're being controlled by and manipulated into is to step away from the TV and turn off those news stations and channels, because that is doing a lot right now to try to keep us divided and to keep these hostilities going. They feed it into us, and it doesn't matter what media channel that you're really using and watching. They all are biased. They all have their biases. They argue back and forth with each other, and certain ones will blame the Democrats and others will blame the Republicans. But the thing is that the way it works with news and media is that they run off of ratings. And so when doing these kinds of things, and they're spilling out fear and hate and divide and blame games, then if we turn it off and we stop listening, one, their ratings are going to drop, and so then they're going to have to start switching up how they do things, because they're not having people tune in. And if their ratings drop, eventually they're going to end up being dropped off the network, and so then they won't exist, and they'll have to go away. So to be able to stay there and be able to provide us with actual factual news, we have to come to a point where, instead of just sitting there blaming one side and saying, because people tell us that, oh, well, this one's credible but that one's not. No, we have to logically believe and realize that that if you're a Democrat and you're saying that the Republicans' news is all fake news and propaganda, that more than likely, logically, the same would be true for yours. The same thing's reversed. The Republicans do the same thing, and they blame the Democrats, and they twist things to fit the Republicans' perceptions and views on life and to pander to their life. And so neither side is giving any accurate and credible information to us. So instead, they're just feeding us with all these lies, which end up causing us to start hating on each other and feuding with each other. And that's not where the problem is, and that's not how it's going to get solved either. The problem lies with the people that are behind the curtains pulling the ropes. And so one of the ways we can start taking our own personal power back, and also the power from them, is by turning those media channels off and not tuning into them. And then also, once we start doing that, we start realizing that we're not living under as much fear, and we don't feel as fearful as we do when we're ingraining into the media. And I know this personally because I stopped dealing with the media because it's too much for me, and it drives me too crazy and makes me get too full of emotion and upset. And so that's, instead of watching the news and the media, I started doing things that are within the realm that I can control, starting to try to become the person and the change that I want to see in the world, instead of and trying to spread goodness and messages of hope and love and unity, to heal the divides, because that's all I want, is for all of the divides and the hurt and the anger to just go away, and for us to be able to take what's broken and be able to heal it. And really, guys, honestly, the world slowed down and came to a stop with this virus for us. So it gave us the time to be able to start healing ourselves and doing work within ourselves, to be able to start becoming the person that the people that we need to be. So anyways, that's just a little bit about the life of an empath and where we're coming from on this. We just want it over. We want you guys to please start working together. Stop destroying each other. It's not healthy. It doesn't solve problems, and we've had enough of it in history. So let's start working to actually start healing the divides, not continuing to create them and allow them to be there. Because the way we're going about it right now, it's not doing anything to solve the problems. It's not healing anything. It's just making them worse. Anyways, again, like I said, much love to all of you. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching this with me. And I will see you guys all again on my next video. And for those of you that are on my YouTube, because I had this streaming live to my Facebook too at the same time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video and found it beneficial, or know anyone else that might need to hear the message. Thank you guys, and blessed be.